just a few things. And I want to make a couple points here so that I don't have to do it in the rest of the budget. So I won't be with you the whole day, but I think this is a perfect one to make the point, several points on. On Sunday, Dante Wright was killed in Brooklyn Heights as a result or from a traffic stop dealing with expired registration tab and a car freshener supposedly hanging down. He was shot. The officer said they were reaching for the taser, thought they were, and killed him in the car. It's the latest tragic example of what happens when we don't have the right systems in place, the right policies in place, the right budget priorities in place to protect life. And as was mentioned, that's an extreme example, but unfortunately, 11% of all police-involved deaths are a result of in traffic stop. That was a 2015 number from the Washington Post. And they're disproportionately people of color, disproportionately Black people, obviously. And that's extreme example. You have many, many other examples. And I had asked the OLO to commission a report, which Susan Farag cited here, about the disparities we have in Montgomery County. Black men 3 times more likely to be pulled over, 7 times more likely to be pulled over in Bethesda as a Black person and given many higher tickets, right? So you have a whole range of bad outcomes, from the loss of trust and just not feeling protected and safe or treated equally, all the way to death that have been happening for years. And I think we all know this is horrible, and we agree that it's really bad. With this Dante Wright episode really hit me hard, because I was pulled over just about 6 months ago for expired registration tabs. And actually in contravention of an order from Governor Hogan, which is still in effect, I believe, that said that police statewide shouldn't be doing that because of the MVA and the status of the pandemic. And I was again asked, is this car stolen, or do you have any outstanding warrants? And I say that to say, don't feel sorry for me. I lift up these stories. And I want to also track back 20 years. 20 years ago, put this up to the camera, I worked as a Montgomery County AmeriCorps member. This is my ID. There you go. You can see it now. It's a little faded. I'm a little younger. My hair is a little more curly and more full. That year, I put this ID card in front of my license, because that year I was pulled over. I was 18 years old. I was pulled over more than 10 times by Montgomery County police officers. And I kept this in front because about half of those times, when I pulled this out first with the badge on it and Charles Moose's signature and my picture, I was allowed to go on without any issues. And I say that to say, because there are so many people in our county, in our state, in our country that are dealing with this every day, that have sat on curbs for 2 hours while their cars are rummaged through and nothing happens and then let go, that are dealing with this in a really, really significant way. And our data bill that this committee, I appreciate all of you have co-sponsored, we're working together on, will help track some of these disparities even deeper and give us more information. But we have an opportunity right now, I think, in this budget, in a very small way, to make a statement that we are going to put our money where our mouth is, to do all the other things that we're doing, but also try to focus in our police department on the things that are most important. We do not have to choose. I think it's a false choice, rather, to put Vision Zero against reducing very slightly the budget in the Traffic Enforcement Division. Obviously, this is an overall increase in the police budget, but a very small reduction in the Traffic Division. Because the point that when you have reduced staff, and one of my overarching goals in police reform that I've said before, and I'll continue to say, is we need a smaller, more highly trained, more focused police department. And I believe that passionately. And this is an example. When you have a small staff, and all of our staffs will know this, you have to prioritize. It forces you to prioritize the things that are most critical to safety and to protecting our residents. And I think that is a critical component of this discussion. We want people to focus. We want our police department to be focused on the most violent, the crimes, the most violent crimes. And then if they are involved in traffic, hit and runs, DUIs, the things that are most at risk for our public. Councilmember Reamer and I've supported this. OLO is currently studying how we might move traffic enforcement to DOT, the Department of Transportation. That's in progress. The city of Berkeley, California has done this, has passed a law to do this. DC moved the automated traffic enforcement to a different division. This is happening around the country. There's been a lot of scholars that have written about if you take law enforcement out of traffic enforcement, you remove and use, for example, unarmed transportation monitors. You'd have to, a lot of details you'd have to figure out, but that you would take the crime enforcement part out of that. So that what happened to Dante Wright, what's happened to so many others, it's just about traffic. It's just about saving lives, and they're just issuing citations. They have no other power. And I think there are ways to do this. And is it new? Sure. Have we done it before? No. But the severity and the significance of this moment calls on us to do things differently. And I think this is a very small opportunity to send a message that we are interested in doing things differently, that we do not accept that Black residents in Bethesda can be pulled over 7 times more often and issued 5 to 6 more tickets. We don't accept those outcomes for any of our residents. And I think by forcing prioritization, this is a step to do that. So the last thing I just wanted to say, the Reimagining Policing Task Force, and I believe the Police Advisory Commission, I'm not 100% sure, but I know the Reimagining Task Force was mentioned. They recommend moving traffic enforcement out of the police department. And the last thing I'll say on Vision Zero, disparities in traffic stops are far greater than disparities in pedestrian fatalities, which are also unacceptable. And I'm not saying it's not a choice between one or the other. I think we can do both. And I think this will send a strong message that we're trying to do both. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I don't have a vote, but I would suggest that this committee, and I'll certainly argue with full council, that we retain the county executive's recommendations to reduce very slightly the traffic division's allotment. Thank you, sir.